You know that simple act of filling up your car? Well, it turns out that's the front line of a high-tech war you've probably never even heard of. It's a silent battle being fought every single day between engineers and organized crime, right there at the pump. And the stakes in this fight, they are absolutely staggering. According to industry reports, just one of these criminal devices, hidden inside a single pump, can steal $2 to $3 million worth of fuel in just 1 year. And here's the part that's truly terrifying for station owners. The little black box that's causing millions in losses, it can be built for as little as $60. That kind of asymmetry, that insane return on investment for criminals, is fueling a whole new invisible crime wave. So how in the world does this digital heist work? And more importantly, how are engineers fighting back? Well, that's what we're going to break down. We'll start with this new kind of heist and expose the weak link that makes it all possible. Then we'll get into the engineering behind an unhackable pump, explore the wild regulatory maze it has to get through, and finally, we'll take a look at the future of gas station security. Okay, so fuel theft itself isn't new, but it has seriously evolved. You need to forget that old image of some guy with a rubber hose and a gas can in the middle of the night. We've moved way past a brute force crime into a sophisticated, stealthy, technological attack. I mean, the difference is just night and day. Traditional siphoning was messy, it was loud, it was obvious something was wrong. But digital siphoning? It targets the pump's brain, its actual logic. It's silent, it leaves almost no physical trace, and to the station's computer system, a massive multi-thousand-gallon theft can look like a completely normal $5 transaction. So how are they pulling this off? Well, it all comes down to a single crucial component that's hidden inside pretty much every fuel dispenser on the planet. A component that, was never designed for an age of cybercrime. And this isn't just some theoretical problem. This is happening right now. All over the world, industry groups and law enforcement are sounding the alarm. They've identified this one part as the absolute epicenter of a massive and very well-coordinated criminal enterprise. So let me introduce you to the fuel pulser. The best way to think of it is like the pump's little honest accountant. As fuel flows through a meter, it spins a shaft. The pulsar just sits on that shaft, and for every rotation, it sends out a simple electrical pulse. The pump's main computer just counts those pulses to know exactly how much fuel you're getting and how much to charge you. Simple as that. The entire system is built on one simple foundation: trust. The computer implicitly trusts every single pulse it receives from that pulsar. And the heist exploits this trust in a way that's, it's deceptively simple. Criminals just break into the pump cabinet, they plug their $60 black box in between the pulsar and the computer, and then they tell that box to lie. The box intercepts the real pulses, but it only sends a tiny fraction of them onto the computer. So the pump thinks it's dispensing a few bucks of fuel, while hundreds or even thousands of gallons are actually flowing out into hidden tanks. Now, you can't just put a better lock on the pump door and call it a day. That's not going to solve this. To really fix the problem, engineers had to go all the way back to the drawing board. Their mission was to transform that simple, trusting pulsar from just a dumb switch into a hardened, intelligent, and secure cryptographic endpoint. This is a fundamental change in how these things work. The old pulsar just sent a simple, unencrypted blip. Easy to intercept, easy to fake. But the new one? It sends a complex, encrypted data packet. It's no longer just saying, hey, fuel is flowing. It's saying, this is pulsar serial number XYZ, I am authentic, and I can prove that exactly this much fuel has flowed. And here is my unforgeable digital signature to prove it. If you try to tamper with that message, the whole thing just shuts down. And this new defense is all about layers. It starts with some serious cryptography. There's a secure chip inside the pulsar that generates private keys that can never be extracted. Then you have what's called mutual authentication. It's like a secret handshake, where the pulsar and the computer verify each other's identities before any fuel even starts to flow. And on top of all that, you get physical security. Sensors that can detect if the pulsar is physically lifted off the meter, and a hardened steel case to stop brute force attacks. Of course, all this security comes at a price. A retrofit kit to upgrade a single dispenser with these encrypted pulsars costs about $1,200. For station owners, yeah, it's a significant investment, but it's one that can easily pay for itself by preventing just one major theft. But here's the thing. Inventing an unhackable pump is really only half the battle. Before a single one of these can be installed anywhere in the world, it has to survive this brutal, brutal journey through a maze of international safety and legal regulations. So the biggest hurdle is something called ATEX. Basically, you can think of it as a hyper-strict fire code for any place where flammable vapors exist.
like, the entire inside of a fuel pump. Every single component, right down to the tiniest chip, has to be certified to prove it absolutely cannot create a spark, even if something goes wrong.
And ATEX is just the beginning. The device also has to comply with workplace safety rules and, this is a huge one, the Measuring Instruments Directive, or MID. This is the legal for trade law that guarantees the pump measures fuel with total accuracy. So you're not just proving the device is secure, you're proving it's also safe and, above all, that it's honest. And believe me, this process is incredibly rigorous. In the UK, for example, if you so much as change out the pulser, an official inspector of weights and measures has to physically come out and re-verify the entire system. And there are fees for everything. That number you see there, that's just the starting cost for the very first nozzle on a site. It's a bureaucratic nightmare for sure, but it's also a necessary one to maintain public trust. So the encrypted pulsar is the state-of-the-art solution for today, but this is an arms race, and it never stops. The next generation of defense is already being built, and it's moving beyond just securing one single part to creating an intelligent, connected system. The future is all about data. Imagine a pump that is constantly watching itself. These new systems monitor transactions in real time, and they analyze everything. They look for anomalies that just don't make sense, like a transaction that's taking way too long for the tiny amount of fuel being registered. If the system's AI detects a pattern that matches a known theft, it can shut the pump down. Instantly. No human interaction needed at all. The fight to secure the fuel pump is really a fascinating case study in a much, much larger trend. It shows how these everyday, traditionally dumb mechanical objects are being forced to become secure, cryptographic endpoints. So it leaves us with a pretty critical question. As organized crime continues to digitize its methods, what's the next ordinary object in our lives that's suddenly going to need a military-grade cryptographic upgrade?